1 week out from the 14U Select Festival, we're on campus at the University of Virginia at the Dish. Of course, the site of the 13U Select Festival, but looking ahead to the very final, the elder statesman of the Select Fest in this preview show. Hi there, folks. My name is Daron Sutton. Welcome on campus, and we can't wait to get to JetBlue Park. As a matter of fact, when you look at the 19 new faces that have earned their way on from the 11, 12, and 13 Select Festivals, that's exciting. When you consider the fact that this is the 9th Select Festival, understand that we're seeing now athletes that are not only playing their way to college, but playing their way into professional baseball and even the major leagues. Example, you take a look at this year's draft, day one. There were 10 Select Festival alumni at that one. Guys like Christian Moore out of Tennessee, Scottsdale, Arizona's Cam Caminetti. He was at the Select Fest a couple of times, and Connor Griffin, a very, very famous prospect, all of them going early in the draft. Now, I can introduce these rosters very, very well, but the guy who's going to join me now, Jheremy Brown, is a guy who steps in and really helps us understand it. H, by the way, is our National Director of 13 and 14U Player Development and Select Festivals. We have reached that point where your work is not just flowering out college players, but major leaguers now.
Yeah, we're up to 3 of them with Victor Medeiros made the very first debut, Jordan Lawler, and Carlos Rodriguez debuted for the Brewers this year. So we're up to 3, and that's a number that's going to grow very soon, I think.
So it's interesting, at the 14U, you go 11, 12, 13, 14. You have your hands on 13 and 14. And we always kiddingly say in our world, and it's short-sighted to say that, oh, they disappear, then we see them at the high school all-star game. But help me understand. These are a majority freshmen in high school. As you build this team, what comes next for them?
So for them, like you said, we have some that are playdowns as 27s, but mostly 28s. That said, they go on to the junior national, the sophomore national. They have the all-star game, which kind of helped bridge that gap. We never had that prior to last year to the All-American Classic. So now we're seeing those guys make those next steps or two. If you're Grady Emerson, he did all-star game back-to-back years, really do the All-American Classic and complete his, it's not even a trifecta, I think it's like 6 years now. So that's been a nice bridge for the prospects.
Is there a theme? I don't want to nudge you too hard because they're all great athletes, but thematically, when you look at this class, is there a theme that you're noticing?
As a whole, it's absurd power, like light tower power and power arms. So you're going to have some of those big bats versus big arms, so I think we should have some fireworks in Fort Myers.
That means a high strikeout game as well. Homers
and
strikeouts.
That's
you're going to have both. So let's introduce you to the East class, and I'm just going to tell you this as H gets ready to tell you one more thought on it. Georgia, Florida, New Jersey, the DR, Michigan. As a matter of fact, it's 10 states overall, along with the DR, 4 New Yorkers this year. Something that you pull out of collectively this East roster.
It's just, again, that power. It really stands out when you have guys like Francis Connor Schmidt, Angel Montas. They were triple-digit exit velos. Francis Connor Schmidt was 104, and if you put that at the Big Boy National, he would have ranked 3rd overall. So that's the type of power that East is going to bring.
That's crazy. We'll get to him in just a minute. Here we go. East bats. Maxim Neshoff. Maximilian, they call him. He's out of Michigan. Brother Rice is where he goes to school. I love the Motor City Hit Dogs. That's one of his travel teams. Angel and Bill, his parents. Hockey and soccer, his sports. But Max is also part of kind of a collective group of athletes, the Redemption Group. What do you mean?
It's the first one. Last year we had, I think, 6 or 7, and I'm like, this is a theme that I want to really promote. And this year there's 10 of them who went to 13U National, did the whole thing, sat in the room. They didn't get that call. Instead of pouting, not wanting to come back, they put in that work. So we had 10 guys who came back after not making it last year, came to the 14U National, and now they're going to be with us in Fort Myers.
Excellent, excellent. And real quickly, just give me a nugget scouting Neshoff.
All you need to know is he's never hit south of 525 in his perfect game career. I think this year was a down year for him at maybe 541. So that kind of speaks to what he is as a player. It's true bat-to-ball skills, 6'8" runner, just flies, puts pressure on defense. He's a guy you love to have and hate to play against.
So I'm intrigued by this next man, Angel Montas, because he's 13 still, because he played 17 and 18U baseball this summer and performed really well. Who is he?
He's a monster. He's the one that walks in off the bus and you're like, who's that? Every kid gravitated to him at 14, even though they're a year older than him. He hit a bomb at 13U National, and it looked like everyone's like, maybe that was a Washington National guy at 15 who came in. Then he comes again at 14U on the broadcast game, curveball out front, didn't get all of it. Shoes weren't even tied, goes halfway up the net. So it's very real power, 102 exit velo. He's that next big Dominican power bat, 91 from the outfield, so he's one I'm excited to see.
Shoes weren't even tied.
He wasn't supposed to hit.
See the storyteller he's becoming? We don't know if that's true or not, but that's what a good storyteller does.
I appreciate that.
We'll just leave it. We'll just mic drop on the shoes weren't tied. Now, you mentioned the man with 3 names, Francis Connor Schmidt, earlier because of his power. He's from East Chatham, New York. He played a bunch this summer. You guys saw him. He told us 60 games this summer. Plays lacrosse, soccer, basketball, and the cello. He plays the cello as well. The man with 3 names. Tell us about him.
He had 3 digits in his exit velo too. He had backside double in game at 14U National, when pull side gap, ground rule double. So when you're hitting like that, you force us to take you. He played a lot of games. He did a lot in the Northeast, not so much on the national circuit. Came to the 14U WWBA. Tyler Russo's like, hey, this is a guy we need to follow at national. Had already been signed up because he did an indoor showcase. Comes out to national, and it's like, I was getting texts. Our guys that did DK go, we got to give him a different bat, different sensor. 104 is not correct. The very next swing was 101. So it's very real power.
Let's shift to arms on the east side. Our next athlete is Caden Nichols. He's out of Durham, North Carolina. He's really earned your respect with what he has done, but here's an athlete too that if he's not playing baseball, he said, put me in the kitchen. So Chef Caden, how does he do what he does?
He carves up hitters like a turkey, I guess, if you want to keep with that theme. It's really low release height, upper 80s. It's easy. The ball jumps. He's got that ride. I know there's a lot of metrics that play with it now. People love that. He would probably max out very close, as high as he could on a 14U level. Sliders for real, ton of strikes. Played for that SBA team that finished #1 in the country, and he's a big part of the reason why.
Okay, now Grant Arnold. Let's talk about Grant. Merritt Island, Florida. He's on the Canes national team. Auburn, UCF, ECU, some of his dream schools.
Yes. And he's another one of those 10 guys that we talked about on the Redemption Tour, who was at 13U, but he came and really took that next jump. He's kind of like Caden Nichols, who we just talked about with that lower release height. He's got some funk to his delivery, but it's also upper 80s, so it's going to get on you quick. By the time you realize when the ball's coming out of the hand, it's already in the catcher's glove. It's really big left-handed power, too. He's a really good athlete for how physical he is, running sub-7 already. So does he end up as a bat? Does he end up as an arm? He's 14, so time will tell us.
I think one of my favorite things is he loves Yordan Alvarez. And it's interesting because here's a 14-year-old who loves a man, and he's as big as Yordan Alvarez, 6'3", 195. I kind of find that charming. Connor Briggs is from Oxford, Florida. This is a great student, AP World History, and by the way, an honors student in calculus, chemistry, Spanish 3. And for him, being a part of this roster from the village's charter schools, this is the 27, and he was at the 21 11U Select
The very
Festival.
first.
Yeah.
And then he didn't make the 12, he didn't make the 13, but now he's kind of bookending his festival.
How did he do that?
He 14-year World Series, probably delivered the most dominant outing we saw. I don't normally name drop teams, but it was against the Canes to just show how talented the lineup was, and he had them fooled all game. Up to 87 throughout, 6 innings, punched out 10, curveball up to 80 miles per hour from a left-handed slot, hides it really well. So by the time they could recognize spin, again, it was too late for the hitters, and he carved.
All right, let's shift gears to the West roster. Texas, Iowa, California, Arizona, Nevada, Washington, Ohio, but then Puerto Rico and Venezuela. A diverse roster, just some general thoughts, and I'm excited to see Puerto Rico and Venezuela. That's the DR as well, but the West roster.
We got a good mix. There's a lot of two-way talent here, and I know we're going to touch on a couple of them, but again, you got a lot of power arms, a lot of high-end performers as you go through the numbers, and they got the defense. They got the slick-handed defenders up the middle, so they're going to razzle-dazzle, I think, in the dirt for us.
So the bats on the West side. Braden Landry talks about this year that his strike zone recognition has grown a ton. It's funny that he mentioned that first. Yeah. You'll tell me he does a lot more than that, I'm guessing.
For sure. Yeah, he came out, I think he ran a 6.7, which is a big jump for him. We know
and that's a big time for a 14U.
Huge.
Yeah.
A sub-7 is really good. 7.1 even, you're like, that's fine. 6.7, 6.8, you're like, you're cooking. And we know he hit that home run, the first ever 13U last year. Came out to 14U National, had an 86-mile-an-hour fastball in on his hands, turned on at home run in game. So he's not the biggest, he's kind of wiry strong, but that strength is there in the barrel, and when it comes to defense, he's one of the best there is in the class.
His dad played college basketball. His dad, Thomas, his mom is Tara. He's from Puyallup, Washington. Plays for the SBA, that great program, the Bolts national team. Carter Schaus, a familiar name. He's from Middletown, Ohio. Center fielder, first baseman, left-handed pitcher. You can put him just about anywhere.
Overall athlete. Right before that Houston Super Regional, he jumped to #2 in the class. Nobody really knew who he was. That was a buzz kind of in Houston night one, like, hey, who's this kid? Because we updated rankings day one. And then he came out, he's won MVPs, MVP pitchers ever since, up to 89 on the mound. Right-handed bat with a ton of juice. You can put him in center field. He's going to close the ground in the gaps with ease. So kind of whatever you want him to do, he's going to do that, and he's another Motor City hit dog who earned his keep this summer.
I love Motor City hit dogs. By the way, in an election year, he's a 4-year student council member, so he's helping lead student government, make decisions back on campus. Carter Schaus. Will Biggs is from West Des Moines, Iowa. This company born in Iowa. He was born in Iowa. Waukee High School And for him, again, he played 15 and 16U this summer.
He's one I personally hadn't seen until 14U National. And again, kind of like Francis Connor Schmid was, here's my tools, here's what I can do. And he forced our hand. We had to take him based off his talent, what he does, how he projects out. 5'11", 180, but he's running that 6'9", so that physicality, the broad-shouldered, but he can run. He was 89 from both the infield and outfield, so the arm strength there. 93 exit velocity. So you start looking, he's checking all these boxes, and then he hit in game, hit in BP. So what more do you want from a 14-year-old out of Iowa?
It's interesting, too, when you look at his family history. Dad played baseball at Pacific. His grandfather played at Fresno State. UCSB is where he played as well. Love the West Coast. Love it, love it. Noah Knutson is from Las Vegas, Nevada. Yep. Bishop Gorman is his team.
Noah, I mean, 6'4", 165. So think of how tall he is, how skinny he is, running a 6'8" already. He's got that 88, 89 arm strength from the outfield. Where he ends up, whether it's infield, outfield, time will tell. But he hit 500 this year, and it wasn't a small sample size. There's 156 at-bats at the highest level events. So there's performance there, there's tools there, and there's projection. So everything you want.
Let's shift to arms, if you don't mind. Chase Cotton is from Lincoln, California, a right-handed pitcher, Whitney High School. By the way, his sister Taylor was a pitcher about a half generation back at Oregon State.
Yeah, he's one of the younger ones of the family, talking to his parents. And up to 92, MV pitcher at WWBA. He's dominant. 92 came at 14U National. He kept climbing. And he pitches with that raw emotion. If he strikes you out, he's going to let you know that. He's going to let everyone in the stands know he just struck you out. And if you're outside of the stadium, you might know too with the roars he lets out. But it's been that developmental curve for him. Velocity, just the arm stroke and delivery overall, refinement of the secondaries. He's doing everything he needs to do, establishing himself as one of the top arms in the class.
All right, shifting gears, New Braunfels, Texas, Valentin Ceballos.
Valentin came out at 14U National, and I think he just opened up like 88, 90. And we hadn't seen that from him. And then he maintained it for 3 innings, and it's like, oh, you've taken that step, or maybe 2. And the curveball's always been a hammer, but for him to have come out the way he did, pumping the strike zone from that higher slot, steep downhill, up to 90 at 14U, it's something you take notice of really quick.
All right, Spring, Texas, as we shift back, New Braunfels to Spring, Texas, Luis Olmeda. El Chamaquito is the nickname. The little boy is what it means. He's not at all little when he gets out onto the field, what he's able to do. Dana Roberto, his parents. Dad played professionally in Puerto Rico, and Jaron Daron is one of the guys that he watches closely.
That makes sense with the heritage. And
that's exactly right.
Just like, again, he's another one of those 2 ways we talked about as the theme of the West. Upper 80s, 89 on the mound from the left side, but then you watch him swing the bat. And it's a really good swing. It's connected, it's separated. I know that sounds like polar opposites, but they're both good things. And he can lift the ball, drive the ball to the pull side. So when you get that as a package, especially with the new roster limits in college baseball, 2-way type players are going to be that much more of a commodity.
See, if you're paying attention, the shoes untied hitting home or connected and separated are 2 very different things, and I love that. This is a real scout. That's what you're getting. Now, I'm told by my producers and my leaders that I need to make reference. You picked out a lot of great stories. But let's not forget about the guys who have owned the top of the skyscraper since the beginning. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dexter. He's just known as Dexter. Dexter McLeon Jr. #1 since you guys started ranking from Buford High School. And again, Dad played in the NFL, went to Clemson, but was a Super Bowl champion, a great free safety. Where is Dexter these days? How's he evolving?
I mean, 6'5", up to 94 on the mound, 6'5" runner, probably 6'3", 6'4".
14U.
14U. Can put the ball out with ease. Whatever you want to make and create a player in MLB The Show, it ends up being Dexter McLeon. So,
Luke Esquivel, #4 overall, another famous name. He's been around for a long time. Was it the 12U a couple of years ago he went off, right?
Yeah, I think he won MVP or the Derby, one of the 2. I think it was MVP. Won MVP last year at 13U. And again, it's every big game he pitches. SBA's in it at the end, and Luke's always on the mound. Up to 85, 86 right now. The velo's going to come, but he doesn't try to throw hard. He hits his spots. He's a true pitcher. And then he's also a 3-4 hole hitter from the left side with enough juice to run it out of the yard. So again, he's already committed to LSU, and truthfully, he's going to be the last ever commit in a festival game. After he phases out, they can't be committed anymore. So he's the last one, and it's a good one to end on.
Oh, what a fun one. It's interesting. He talks about, look, if a broadcaster says this, it's a throwaway word. We're all guilty of it. But 2 words to describe his growth. He says, I've grown up in the area of perseverance and grit. I actually believe a 14U saying that. He understands how he's grown, gotten tougher in certain areas. And then we want to talk about striker Pence. He is number 9 overall, and he's from Corona, California, but he's not going to that super school. He's going to go to Tide de Trinidad Santiago High School. I love him. Of course, Hunter Pence, his uncle, helps us out with all of our college content. But where's Striker these days in his evolution?
His head's always in the clouds because he's getting taller and taller.
Like
every
how
time
tall?
I see him. At 6'5", probably
Really?
pushing 6'6" now. I got to keep craning my neck every time I see him. And then you watch him, and it's so simple on the mound. And it's not how you would draw up a delivery, but for him it works. He's constantly growing. But the strikes have evolved, and he's more on time with his arm. And it's 90-94 now at 14U with the slider into the low 80s. That you have the fastball that runs, and then you have the slider that just absolutely darts. And he had kids looking silly at the National.
Thank you. I appreciate
You
your
got it.
insights. I can't wait for the game.
Absolutely. Me neither.
And that game, by the way, September 1st, Jet Blue Park. That, of course, is the developmental and the winter and spring home of the Boston Red Sox. It's been the home every year. This is year number 9. You can watch it at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can watch it on Perfect Game TV. If, in fact, you don't have it, don't look it up online on your laptop or your PC. Go ahead and get the app. Then you can watch it on television on your smart TV. Hit that QR code right there. Again, it's Perfect Game TV. H, Daron, and you, thanks for being a big baseball fan, especially the future of the game. Coming up, now you're set for the 14U Select Festival. Enjoy it.